All right, well, that was already quite the introduction. We can probably just go ahead and wrap this up real quick then. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. I'm Ty Patton, our Director of Athletic Communications. It's really great to have everybody here, whether it be members of the women's basketball team, our supporters, the university community and its leadership, and assembled members of the media. We're joined again for a very special and exciting day for our university, for our community, and most importantly, for our women's basketball program. Just to go over the order of things for today so you know what to expect. In a few seconds here, we'll introduce Drake University President Marty Martin to say a few words about Coach Pohlman in this position. He'll be followed by Susie Glazer-Burt, whose tremendous faith in this program and passion for this program inspired her to endow the head coaching position and support our program at a historic level. Finally, Director of Athletics Brian Harden will officially and formally introduce the next Susie Glazer-Burt head coach, and then we'll have a few comments from the coach herself to wrap things up. Unfortunately for members of the media here, we won't be able to take questions from the room due to a few different constraints, but should you wish to speak to either President Martin, Mr. Harden, or Coach Pohlman, just track me down and we'll be able to arrange a few socially distanced interviews off to the side. So to get things started today, I'd like to welcome up to the podium Drake University President Marty Martin.
Thank you, Ty, and good afternoon. Isn't it a good time to be a bulldog? Isn't it just a great, not just a good time, but a great time to be a bulldog? We've all heard Brian Harden, our athletic director, talk about being committed to our student athletes winning in the classroom, winning in the community through service, and winning on the field of competition. And when I say it's a great time to be a bulldog, I say that because all of those things are happening right now, and they're happening in great and magnificent ways. When we think about our Bulldogs winning in the classroom, last fall, our student athletes had their best average GPA in the history of this institution, at least as long as we've been keeping records. And that has, yes, that's worth applause. And that has been supported and been made manifest by the fact that for a number of years now, this institution has generated, on a per capita basis, the largest number of academic All-Americans in any conference, in any institution in the country. Just bringing that combination of that athletic performance and academic performance together in really spectacular ways. And we know, because we see it constantly, how our Bulldogs win in the community through their service, how they go out and connect with others and live our inspiration statement of transforming lives and strengthening communities in so many different ways, both in individual encounters and in rendering up big projects to entities and individuals who need those, who need that service, who need those outcomes to live their best lives. And we see every day, evidence of their continued success on the field of competition. And that's been particularly the case this spring. This team, our women's basketball team, followed up a number of strong years with yet another one, and I'll come back to that in just a moment. Our men's basketball program got their first win in the NCAA tournament in 50 years and had a 26-5 record, Brian, am I right about that? Yeah, 26-5 record. So these guys have been getting it done. Our volleyball program had its best year in decades, finishing second in the conference, and for the first time ever in the history of the institution, our coach, I saw Darren. Where are you, Darren? There he is. So Darren McBroom was named Coach of the Year for the conference, and we also had Player of the Year for the conference. Just this past weekend, we had the Drake Relays, and we had outstanding, standout performances by members of our Drake track and field team, some of the best, if not the best performances in years at the Drake Relays. And again, and indeed this past weekend, our women's tennis team brought home the MVC, the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament Championship, and are now NCAA bound. So it is a good time to be a Bulldog. And everything that I've just described, one of our programs has kind of set the standard for all of that. Winning in the classroom, winning in the community, winning on the court, and that's our women's basketball program. We now see other programs, in a sense, kind of catching up to them, and we're proud of that. We're proud of the trail that they have blazed. And every step along the way, Allison Pohlman has been a part of that, Her fingerprints are all over that success, and it makes it incredibly appropriate and maybe even necessary that she is to be the next Susie Glazer-Burt, head women's basketball coach at Drake University. Because she is the person who has made this happen, along with working with her fellow coaches, these players, members of the athletic staff, university, and so many of you. I'm looking around this room, and I know that so many of you have invested your time, talent, and treasure in this program because you believe in the standard of excellence that it has achieved, that it can carry forward, and the model that it serves continues to serve for not just our own athletic programs, but for programs around the country. So this is a program that has had a tremendous past, is incredibly strong in the present, but more importantly, has a tremendous future ahead of it under the leadership of Allison Pohlman. And Allison, I want to say to you personally, I'm so thankful that you said yes when offered this position. And I look forward to working with you, Brian Harden, and many others to carry this program to that next level. Thank you, Allison. I'll leave it to Brian to elaborate upon the introduction in just a moment. Next, I want to speak for a moment about Susie Glazer-Burt. Some of you heard me tell this story before. My first encounter with Susie was on a cell phone when I was in the airport in Phoenix in January of 2015, shortly after I'd been introduced as the next president for Drake University to start in July. And in that conversation, Susie and I are just getting to know each other. She says to me, my dream is for Drake University to be the home of a Boys and Girls Club. Well, that was January of 2015, and in August of 2019, we made that dream a reality, didn't we, Susie? We joined together, we made that dream a reality. And from there, you continue to remain, of course, fully invested in that program and in the lives of those children, but you also have now embraced another passion of yours and made that manifest here at Drake University, and that's your passion for empowering women, for enabling women to be their most powerful, effective, and positive selves. And you've done that here through your support of our Drake women's basketball program, and hence the name, the Susie Glazer-Burt, head women's basketball coach at Drake University. We are incredibly thankful for both of those things, that where you invest your time, talent, and treasure where your passions lie, in helping those who need help, who don't have all the advantages that many of us have, and making sure that they have those opportunities that should not be denied to them. And that's what that Boys and Girls Club is all about across the street. And then empowering women, particularly these young women, to be their best selves, to go out and to win in the classroom, win in the community, win on that field of competition, and be role models for others. And we're very thankful, incredibly thankful, that you have that connection to Drake University and that you bring that connection to life in the ways that you have. We're incredibly thankful for that. We thank you deeply, deeply, and I invite you to come up and say a few words. Susie Glazer-Burt.
Good afternoon. It's so nice to be home. I have not been home in Des Moines, Iowa since a year ago, February. And I am just my heart is overwhelmed to see this magnificent facility. Not that I possibly could forget it, but to be on the Maddie Leavitt court. My mom was my mentor, and she taught me the importance of giving back. Imagine 2 years ago, this Thursday, April 29th, I gave a $5 million gift to endow the Susie Glazer-Burt head coach position. And I never felt so happy to, number one, the honor of having my name on the head coach's position, but moreover, to embrace and the coaches, the players, all of you, for believing in me and keeping me around. When I heard last week about Allison, the announcement, my heart was bursting, and it is still bursting, and I'm full of everything. It's just, life doesn't get better than this. As my mom would say, it's just plain damn fun to give your money away and then to see it all come back to you. As many of you know, I had a special relationship with Jenny, and I saw her a couple weeks ago in Norman and had some private time with her. When I endowed Jenny's position, I gave her a bracelet, which you probably can't see, but it's a blue sapphire bracelet. And when we were talking about Allison becoming the new coach, Jenny turned to me and she said, "Suze, I'd like you to take this back, my bracelet, and to pass it on to Allison, because she loved you, she loved Drake University, and she wants you to wear this with pride, as well as I do. So may I please come and give it to you?"
Susie, thank you. And I always said following Marty and following Jenny and Darren, it's a tough act to follow. That is a really tough act to follow. So thank you for being here today. And thank you to Ty for welcoming everyone here, Marty for your wonderful comments as always. And it's great to see so many people here today. It's a nice full gym here, and we're excited to see that here back on our campus. So many familiar faces that we haven't been able to see in quite some time here, but it just shows that the great support that exists for this program that we know that exists, and it's fabulous to be here to celebrate on such a wonderful day. Marty touched on a lot of the items why it's such a great time to be a Drake Bulldog, and I'm just so proud of all the accomplishments that Marty outlined here today, and it's just that this just kind of builds on the momentum that we have going in our department right now, and certainly at our university. We are here today to celebrate Allison Pohlman as a 7th head coach in our women's basketball history, and so excited for that. Before I kind of get into some comments, there are some thank yous that I do want to express to everyone here today. Obviously, got to thank President Martin first and foremost. He's just been an incredible partner to have during this coaching search. It's been wonderful to work with him for the past 3+ years, and to go through a search. He was a terrific sounding board, someone I could always kind of turn to and can confide in, and it was just wonderful. So thank you for being there and for allowing me to kind of bounce things off you, and just it's so wonderful to have such a supportive person like Marty. Like I was told before I became an athletic director that you had to make sure that you found a university that had a president that understood athletics and someone who was supportive of athletics, because otherwise it just won't work. And that goes for our board of trustees as well. So it's so great to see Peggy Fisher here today, Susie. I think we have other trustees members here as well. So it doesn't work. You aren't able to achieve what we've been able to achieve as an athletics department if you don't have a supportive president and understanding board of trustees. So thank you for your leadership on this campus. I need to thank our athletics department staff and our coaches. When we go into search mode, I tend to go underground and I kind of lock in on the task at hand. But the trains need to continue to run on time. We had all of our sports in season this spring for the first time in our history. And because of the confidence I have in Megan Franklin, Patrick Tomka, Matt Lyons, we've got a whole staff here and our coaches, it allows us to continue to operate and provide the services that we so need to deserve to give to our student athletes. So thank you to you guys for allowing me a chance to kind of do that. Thanks to Jenny Bronchek for reminding us just kind of what Drake women's basketball is capable of. Her 9 years here will go down as some of the best 9 years in the history of our program. Thank you for retaining Allison when you first became a staff and giving her the ability to become that associate head coach and grow into this position that she has here today. So thank you, Jenny, for everything that you did in your time here. For our fans, thank you for your incredible support. Received a number of emails and texts from folks kind of offering their thoughts on the hiring process. Wasn't able to get back to everyone. Nancy, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you. I kind of had a sense who you were calling on behalf of here, and so I know that you're happy here today. But there was no shortage of it. In fact, I've got 3 boys, as you're probably familiar with, and they attend the same elementary school that Allison's triplets attended when they were growing up in Johnston. And it got to the point that early in the process, when we were looking for a new coach, we had my oldest son, Noah, is in 4th grade, and he came home from school one day and said, "Dad," he goes, "I had a teacher at Beaver Creek today tell me that you have to hire Coach Pohlman." So there was no shortage of suggestions coming from anywhere, any way that people could get their 2 cents shared with me. They certainly did that. And then lastly, to Kara and to my boys for allowing me to dive into the search here. I kind of go off the map here, and appreciate, Kara, your support in allowing me to do that and pursue the conversations I need to have with our coaches, coaching candidates during the search period. If anybody, combine that with Drake Relays, it's been a kind of a busy, hectic time. So if anybody needs to find Kara for the next 2 weeks, she'll be holed up at the downtown Marriott, kind of getting her own time to kind of get away and allow me a chance to kind of be single parent for a little bit here. So you can find her downtown, and she's fully vaccinated, so you'll probably see her around the East Village at some of the restaurants and spots there too. But when we go into a search, and I've said this before when we've hired previous coaches, that I fully believe in that you fall in love with criteria, you don't fall in love with candidates. And there are certain criteria that we will look for anytime a head coach position is available. Energy, passion, vision are 3 traits that we have to have in any position that we hire within our athletics department. Then we kind of look at character and competency. And in those 2, I certainly value the character piece more than the competency. Somebody can learn things over time. You don't really change your character. So through conversations with candidates, through conversations with people who know the candidates, and not necessarily on their reference list, but those who I know in the industry, try to get a sense of who are those people that I should be talking to. And then we take those resumes, take those candidates, and filter them through the criteria. And on the other side, we get a smaller list of folks that we want to talk to. Specifically with this position, we wanted to make sure that each of our candidates understood kind of the expectation that we had to develop strong women leaders, both on the basketball court and in life. There's a rich tradition of that within our women's basketball program, and that had to be sustained and grown upon here at Drake University, and we certainly have that here with Allison. We need to make sure that there was an appreciation for what Marty talked about looking to achieve sustained success in the classroom and in the community, and certainly in competition. We needed a values-based coach that was going to align with the values that we have here. We're very proud of the Bulldog Way programming that we have here at Drake University and Drake Athletics. It's critically important that continues, and those core values that we subscribe to needed to be maintained within our women's basketball program. And then lastly, I needed to know kind of what this program was going to look like 3 years from now when their fingerprints were all over it. I know kind of where we're at right now, but where are we going, and how are you going to help us get there? Allison owned the moment from the time that the interview began. I mean, when she walked in, I mean, she was the head coach at Drake. The energy that she has brought to this program for 14 years speaks for itself. Her passion for this position came through very clearly. She's had opportunities to interview at other places. She's had opportunities to go elsewhere. She stayed here at Drake for very important reasons, and now she's rewarded here today by being able to be our 7th head coach. But it's just, it was important to me that we found a coach who wanted to be the head coach at Drake. I've said this before, that a lot of coaches out there want to be a head coach, but I'm looking for that one who wants to be the head coach at Drake, and that certainly came through in our conversation with Allison. It's her vision, though, for the program is what I'm so excited about. Her vision for where we can get to, what we are capable of achieving here. She knows what it takes to be successful. She knows what this program is, the type of graduates that it produces, the civic-minded leaders that it creates, and the winners it develops that hang banners in the Knapp Center. She is direct in her comments, something that in our ability to have a conversation I learned a lot about. Very direct in her comments, demands attention to detail. She will challenge our student athletes on and off the court, but also be the first one there to put an arm around them, to console them when that's needed as well. She has an uncanny ability to remember the names of people. It's certainly a skill that I could help through some coaching. She's fantastic with relationships, and that came from a variety of sources that I talked to. She credits her work ethic to her parents and her competitiveness to her brothers. I'm a firm believer in that team will take on the personality of their head coach, and I can't wait to see the personality of this women's basketball team in the years to come. The word impact kept coming back to me during this process. We wanted to find an impactful leader who would develop a strong group of women on the court and off. Last night, I took some time to read through some of the emails that I had received. I received a ton of emails, a number of emails reaching out in support of Allison. And candidly, I did not read through all of those emails when they came in. I wanted to try to maintain some sense of objectivity during the interview process. But I figured last night was probably a good enough time to do it. We're pretty far along in the process here. And so I took a chance to kind of read through there and just kind of see, kind of what some of the various comments were. And it was great to read it, because these were genuine comments from people who were not being asked to submit anything by Allison. These are folks who had the best interests in mind for the program, and to hear their comments on the position. And what came through were individual stories of how Allison had impacted their lives. And one such story that I wanted to share here came from an alumna who played only 1 year. Only played 1 year for Allison back in 2007. His former student athlete had a special connection at the time to a different member of the coaching staff. And he was not going to be on the staff for her senior year, and Allison was coming in. And candidly, she says in the email, she didn't like Allison early on. And she didn't really want to give her a chance, but she kept a crack in the door open to maybe be professional about it, be a mature senior, and give Allison the ability to maybe try to win her over. The student athlete was an incredible scholar athlete, one of the brightest student athletes that we've had come through here at Drake. And so many times she had coaches before who had encouraged her to stop thinking, and that she was too smart for her own good. And Allison didn't share that sentiment. She kind of went a different direction with the student athlete. And I want to read this direct quote to me, which kind of speaks to Allison's character and kind of what we have to look forward to here at Drake. The student athlete wrote, "Though she probably shared a diagnosis with all my previous coaches, she didn't pursue the same solutions, i.e. lecturing me about my mentality, asking me to be different. Instead, she encouraged me to take more risks, and she helped me to build a more confident mentality. It might have been the first time since being coached by my dad in middle school that I believed there was someone on the bench who didn't see me for what I was incapable of doing, but who saw possibilities of what I could become as a player. I wonder what kind of player I could have become if I'd gotten to work with Coach Pohlman for one more year. But a year was all it took for Coach Pohlman to positively influence me as a person. More than 10 years later, though my work is totally unrelated to basketball, I find my approach to leading an organization, coaching my staff, and facing challenges to draw from what she taught me. I learned how to be confident and believe in myself. I learned to be able to hear criticism without drowning in it. I learned that humility is important, but that you need a little swagger to face big challenges and do hard things. And I learned the power of having someone who believes in you in your corner." That's a pretty incredible testimonial, one that was echoed by other former players in our program, and it certainly fits the criteria of what we were looking for in our next head coach. A few weeks back, I had an opportunity to speak to the athletic director at Gonzaga University. I was doing a reference check on a different position within our department, and when I get an opportunity to talk to a leader like at Gonzaga or other leaders in college athletics, I'll often kind of ask them questions about what it's like to run their department. I'm always trying to learn new leadership tools that could help us here at Drake. And so I took a moment when I had Mike on the phone that day to ask about his hiring practices. He's had some great success of promoting from within. He's also gone outside the organization, has brought people into Spokane. And he made a very simple comment when he was talking about the hiring practice that have worked so well for him at Gonzaga. And as he said it was very similar to what we've tried to do here at Drake. He just succinctly said that they look for the best person first, and then we'll look at the coaching ability second. With Allison, I know that we have an incredible person who fits the mission of our institution. I also know we have someone who has been an outstanding member of our coaching staff for a number of years and will make a terrific head coach. She has the energy, the passion, and the vision to lead our women's basketball program and take us to even greater heights. So it is now my pleasure to introduce to you the new Susie Glazer-Burt, women's basketball coach of your Drake Bulldogs, Allison Pohlman. Yeah. So just a quick side note, you're maybe asking why number 50? So Allison is a Hall of Fame player at Northern Iowa, and she wore number 50. I think we can all agree she looks better in blue than purple. So Allison, congratulations.
Perfect. Oh, thank you. Wow. I don't know really where to begin with all of that stuff besides it feels like I'm in 4th grade and it's all about me day. Yeah, so I think I'll just start with thank you all so much for being here. And I think the coolest piece about all of this is when you walk into a place like this and you have the energy that we have, like I would just love to put my whistle on and head into the gym, or at least it being, you know, the first day that we get to be in the gym tipping it off. And so I do look forward, as I'm looking to the 8 of you, I do look forward to that here very, very soon. But as we wait, I want to do a couple quick thank yous and then dive into a little bit, but I want to be very conscientious, obviously, of everyone's time. So to Susie Glazer-Burt, I mean, what a surreal moment to be able to have your name next to not only Susie Glazer-Burt, but also Jenny Baranchek. And so it is very special and endearing to my heart, the support that you've had for our program, for our team, and honestly, for our friendship. And so I am so thankful for you just being here. It really, really means a lot to our entire group. So thanks for that. I want to thank Brian Harden and President Martin. I want to thank you, honestly, for making me compete for this job. I think the best part about it is we talk to our student athletes day in and day out about opportunity. Okay, so you have that opportunity, what do? You dive on it. You go for it. You rip that ball out of other people's hands. And so when this happened, it was exactly like that for me. That moment of like the clouds opening and being like, you had better go for this. And so I thank you for making me really figure out 100% what I wanted and who I wanted to be. So just a little bit about me, again, back to 4th grade, what about me day. My path to getting here, to coming to Drake University, started, please don't print this, 25 years ago when I was a student athlete in the Missouri Valley Conference. Had a phenomenal experience, then lucky enough stepped into a role where I got to coach, clearly at a different institution. And then 14 years ago, about this time, I was recruited away. And I moved 3 10-month-olds. Yeah, crazy. 3 10-month-olds from Cedar Falls all the way to Des Moines. So a pretty magical situation there. I got a chance to work for Amy for 4 years, and really what I got in touch with at that time is, as you look up there, I had always had and held Drake in such high regard. I'd always been in awe of stepping into the Knapp Center, and you look at those banners, and you looked at the women that you got to play and compete and coach against, and you knew that they wore that name across their chest extremely, extremely proudly. And so at the time, I didn't think it was crazy moving all the way to Des Moines. I was so excited for the opportunity. After a coaching change and then having the opportunity, truthfully, to be able to stay here with Jenny for the next 9 years, being able to put a very amazing stamp on a program, and as you kind of go back to, you look up at those numbers, and once again, we were able to do some really, really special things with some really special people on teams. So, and now guess what? Here we are, and I am so ready to make some magic. I mean, I know our team is in that spot, but let's go. One of the things I want to just talk real briefly about, as Brian alluded to, my vision for this program. My vision for this highly accountable, and we're going to be highly productive. So as far as the relationship avenue, like that's with our team. That's when we say family, we mean family. That's when someone needs something, we step up, and we're there for them. And I've challenged our team in the last 2 weeks, and they have flourished in the fact of, we're going to take our communication to a whole nother level. We're going to get in touch with each other on a whole nother level. And we're going to be able to really know and understand, in essence, what each of us is thinking without even having to say it. We're not quite there yet, but we are going to get there. As far as relational, we've talked about being Des Moines hometown team. We are, and we're going to embrace it, and we're going to continue to do the 1,000 hours of community service. And we will, at the forefront of that, have 100% Drake in mind. So I'm excited for our team and our coaching staff and such to be able to continue to do that for our community. We're going to be highly accountable. I have ridiculously high standards and expectations for this team, but I also have them for myself. We're going to continue to be accountable in the classroom, and we're going to be accountable to our fans. So what does that look like? That means when we're in here, when we're on the floor, that means every single day you show up to work. You show up, and if by chance you got to unlace them and tie them up a little bit tighter, we are going to get after it because we owe it to you. We owe it to you to step on that Knapp Center floor with a whole lot of pride, and we're going to put a really fantastic, fun-to-watch product out there. So we will hold ourselves accountable to that every single day. And lastly, we're going to be highly productive. And from a basketball standpoint, we're going to put the ball in the hole. And so we're going to continue with that up-tempo style. We'll continue to look to score buckets and bunches. And I definitely think behind the scenes, I think you can expect our team, our program, to really be productive as far as how do we attack our day? How are we able to do just a little bit more? How can we give back a little bit more? How can we do something a little bit more for Drake University? And so for those things, as far as our vision playing out, we are committed to and we are excited to get this ball rolling. Lastly, in closing, I believe in this place. I love this program. I love our team. I am bleeding blue. I mean, from head to toe. You can't even imagine. And so I am so excited to be able to just let them know that to the team, I can't wait. And we've been on the floor a little bit, but indeed excited to take those steps forward. All of you, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. The support has been indeed off the charts as far as the number of people who have reached out, who have taken the time, whether it's to email, to call, to text. I too, to Brian's point, have done the best I can possibly do to get back to everybody. But my heart is overflowing with the amount of just support, I guess, and confirmation that I can stand here today and say, our team's going to make you proud. I'm going to make you proud, and I couldn't be more excited to be the next head coach at Drake University. Thank you. Thank you very much.